Yes, sir. We're back with another Dune review. It's been a minute. What, 10 days? Okay, 10 days, that's not bad. I feel like, weekly with some change with these chapters. I feel like that's a pretty good schedule. Pretty good schedule. And after this chapter drop, you're going to see like the cool pattern that's emerging. I am kind of making like a snake throughout the channel. So where it's going to look decent. Like over time, the build up is going to look dope, bro. Just trust the process. Just trust the process. Any whoosies, we're back on Dune. This time on chapters 7 and 6, and back to back. I feel like these are really decent chapters. I kind of like chapter 7 more than chapter 6 because chapter 7 builds off of chapter 6, if that makes sense. So chapter 6, it starts off kind of hyping up Paul's dad with how I think like the very quote at the beginning of the chapter is I'll just quote y'all, right. Just might as well do a quote. Not that. There it is. Still, one must ask, what is a son but an extension of the father? And like again, like the whole thing is like guys about how he's like a very stern, righteous person or whatnot, just like hyping up the Duke. Then the chapter starts off with like Paul kind of explaining what his dad looks like. And the reason why I like that because like Paul's I will just read both perspectives for this. So with Paul's perspective, he says, I'll just start from the very beginning. Paul watched his father enter the training room, saw the guards take up stations outside. One of them closed the door. As always, Paul experienced a sense of presence in his father. Someone totally here. The Duke was tall, olive-skinned. His thin face held a harsh angles warmed only by deep gray eyes. He wore a black working uniform with a red armorial hawk crest at the breast, a silver shield belt with a patina of much used girded his narrow waist. Of much used girded his narrow waist. Whatever. So that's how Paul sees his dad. Presence describes his face, olive tone, whatnot, tall. There's like he's a figure. You know what I mean? Like he comes to the room like he exudes this energy, if that makes sense. Then when we move to chapter 7 and how Paul describes his dad, there's like a very different perspective. And I kind of like that. It was chapter 6 to 6. Alright, now we're 7. She looked at his tallness. This is chapter 7 now. This is like from the mom Jessica's perspective now. She looked at his tallness, at the dark skin that made her think of olive groves and golden suns on blue waters. There was wood smoke in the gray of his eyes, but the face was predatory, thin, full of sharp angles and planes. A sudden fear of him tightened her breast. He became such a savage, driving person since the decision to bow to the Emperor's command. So right then and there, you like see like the son and father, the son and like not even the wife, because we learned chapter 6, she's just a concubine. Like Paul's dad, he bought her, and then like she was just kind of there. He never actually officially married her, but she just used her just to like bear children. That was kind of like her thing. Like that was her purpose for the house and whatnot. And like even goes into chapter 7, like how it describes like people were saying like she was very skinny, but like she actually turned out to be kind of attractive, like worked out for like his gene pool or whatnot. He didn't say his gene pool exactly. He said something kind of more politically correct. I think he said for the heirs, bearing the good genes for the heirs of House Atreides, something along those lines. Whatever. Then we go back. Now we're going back to chapter 6, and I just wanted to get that comparison out the way. I thought that was very cool, interesting. It's just now Paul and Dad talking about like the dangers of Arrakis and whatnot, and how Paul's trying to warn his dad like, "Hey, why are we going to like this actual known trap And then Paul's dad's trying to explain to him, like, hey, listen, since we know it's a trap, it's like I think he said a fate within a fate within a fate, if that makes sense. So I know the blade is coming, and they know that I know the blade is coming. That means I can also plan for them knowing that I know that the blade's coming. You know what I mean? That just that I know since they know, I know again, and I can plan around that. And then Paul's like, well, why can't we warn the people what's going on? He's like, well, if we warn the people what's going on, then at that point it reveals the blade, and then just chaos will assume that at that point it will be kind of hard to predict their movements. Right now, we know the hidden blade is there. We know it's hidden. They know we know it's hidden. We can walk around it because we know what's going on. If we introduce other parties, that'll cause more chaos. So that was kind of cool. Like Paul's father's mindset. And then we go into the investment of the freemen, the people of Arrakis, because again, like the emperor, what are they called? Not the Imperial Army. What is this? What's the Grand Army called? The Emperor's Army? Not you. Well, whatever the case may be, the Emperor has, very strong soldiers from the Imperial Corps. There it is, from Sarah Dukar. And again, that was like mentioned, I believe, like in the first few chapters on Hirokin with the Duke. Was it Vladimir? Yeah, I think it's Vladimir. Yeah, Baron Vladimir. There we go. Talking about how like the Emperor and whatnot, they're going to like give them soldiers when I take over House Atreides to get back at them, or to like destroy their house. And he's saying like how they grew those Imperial forces off of I'm trying to pronounce his name. So that's what it is. Sardaukar. Sardaukar. I'll say Sardaukar. They're very strong people, but at the same time, the freemen can be that ally that will balance the force, because they also are very, what's the word he used? Not diligent. Oh man, he used some type of word to describe the freemen that I kind of liked. I might as well look up that too. But the point is, the freemen can also combat them, because like they are very. Damn. Yeah, I just gotta look it up. Yeah, they have the potential to be as strong as Deleus' Sartor Corpse. Yeah. Environment. I think it was probably chapter 6 then, huh? Not you. Bruh. I'm sorry this is taking a minute, but I want to find this. Okay, there it is. There's a deep strength and healthy vitality in them. Okay, there we go. Just survivability and whatnot. But long story short, the Freemen could be a very powerful ally, and they keep mentioning this all the time, like throughout the entire, like these first 7 chapters, how like they truly don't know the amount of Freemen on the planet. Like people think there's a small amount. There's probably like a bunch more we don't even know about, and this keeps being mentioned even in chapter 6 right now as well. And like if they get them as an ally, it will be like a huge advantage towards them and whatnot. Then I feel like there's another important thing. I don't think there's something else important in chapter 6. I think that was probably like the main highlight was that conversation. And then Spice. So they got this the planet Arrakis It's like the only planet that could produce spice, which is like this very important product in this universe. So they got the planet, but when I says they got the planet, it's gonna be like a exchange of what's the one, people producing the spice. But the Hirokans have been on this planet for like 20 plus years, building up their spice reservoirs and whatnot. So now their plan is to like slow down the spice production, but at the same time, since they're slowing down the spice production, that increase the price of spice as well, because they'll be having like a large majority of the spice, because they've been on what's he face mining spice for 20 plus years. They've been stockpiling spice as well. So now, after their attempt to, you know, what's what I'm looking for? Slow spice production down on the House Atreides. At that point, people look to House Atreides like, hey, why is the spice production going down? What's going on? And that will in turn have people turn against House Atreides like, hey, spice production is going down. At the same time, spice prices are rising too. That will then give House Iraq and any other parties or houses who also start to stockpile on spice as well, to not only gain some money from this as well, but also, you know, be able to cut down favor for House Atreides. You know what I mean? So that was another part of chapter 6. Moving on to chapter 7 now. We already talked about how Jessica's feelings towards Duke Leto. But, like, there's still some type of love there as well, because she still wants him to be protected and whatnot. But, like, just, you know, that perspective of her feeling like that fear because of, like, you know, how he looks very angular and, like, predatory because, like, the way his face is shaped and whatnot. I just thought that was interesting. Like, again, how the son feels like this presence of his father, while his mother feels like this, you know, sharp, not, I want to say almost monstrous kind of being a little bit. I don't want to use that word, but kind of like that. Just those two viewpoints a little bit. Then moving on, the major thing that went on chapter 7 was how the Bene Gesserit, they've been on Arrakis a long time ago and set up like this whole prophecy or religion for the people of Arrakis and whatnot. And that came into play, kind of saving Jessica's life a little bit, because Duke Leto gave her like a servant. And this servant was kind of trying to see if this legend or prophecy was real, or trying to make sense of it, because she brought out this blade called like the Christ blade. Let's see. Crysknife. Very rare knife. A blade supposed to be kind of like a chosen warrior blade a little bit. And she's trying to make sense of the legend. And since Jessica knew of this because of her teachings from her witch cult and whatnot, she knew how to like maneuver that situation. But in reality, if she wasn't a part of that, she might have died on the spot right there. Because anyone who sees the blade will learn who isn't of Arrakis needs to be killed. At the same time, that blade never left Arrakis as well. And then also we learn too that it's a tooth of a sandworm, and that it needs a fluid to stay sharp and whatnot, or else it will disintegrate. So she ends up cutting the this old lady servant to get some blood on the blade, so like it stays healthy. And then we see that the lady stops bleeding pretty fast, and then Jessica makes a comment saying there's probably like an evolutionary trait of the Freeman being on a planet that, you know, water's so sacred and whatnot and rare. The body's adapted so they don't so they retain water quickly or whatnot. So if they bleed, the blood I think the word is coagulates faster. So interesting stuff like that. I thought it was pretty cool. It was like another scene I think that was kind of important too, about the placement of a painting of Duke Leto's father, or Paul's grandfather. There was an argument about that, him not wanting to be in a certain spot. It wasn't really explained that well. I don't know why. And then we also learned too that his father, Paul's grandfather, or Duke Leto's father, was killed by a bull, and that bull is also hanging in the room as well, or is going to be set up in the room. So, yeah, those are the two major things of chapter 6 and 7. That being the reason why spice is important, and why they are in a kind of a predicament right now with the other, could be in a predicament with other houses. And then this legendary blade, and also the legend that the witch cult artificially implanted on this planet to be used at some point in time. And how the old lady thinks that she is the grandmother of that prophecy. But then Jessica's like, I can't be because I'm not a Reverend Mother. But then at the beginning of the chapter, it is they said something pretty important as well. And that was, and it's generally accepted now that Lady Jessica's latent abilities were grossly underestimated. So, makes me believe that she's probably going to rise to the level of a Reverend Mother, and like she's kind of doubting her skills, and she's gonna probably fall into her full potential later on. So overall, pretty, again, just these chapters, they get better and better in my opinion. Like, we're getting more and more into the story. So because of that, every chapter feels like it's getting better because we're just getting more lore and deeper into what's going on in this universe. So that's pretty cool. Out of this set right here, for sure I give it to chapter 7. Chapter 7, that was for sure the better chapter in my opinion. Like, it was cool learning about like the spice and whatnot, how the Heroicas are holding up spice to want to slow down their spice production so they can increase their value of spice, and also have House Atreides lose favor with other houses. But I don't know, just, you know, the Bene Gesserit, them just setting up like a whole religion for them to use in the future, like centuries ago. Then that being used on, like, kind of like saving Jessica's life because she knows about their teachings and whatnot, how they move around. I thought it was pretty cool too. Just chapter 7, that felt like a lot of cool, deeper lore and more, I want to say, world building as well. Just cool stuff all around. But yeah, yap session aside, hopefully y'all enjoyed the chapter review of Dune. I'm enjoying it. I might drop another chapter review this week too, depending on like how I update the other videos. Whatever. Point is, it's been fun talking to you guys. If you liked the video, if you enjoyed the video, there it is. Excuse me. Please like and subscribe and all that lovely stuff. And yeah, I'll catch y'all next time, alright? That is it. Be easy.